Chapter 18 of Baby Moll by John Farris. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 18. Later that night I awakened, sitting straight up in bed, muscles tense. For a few seconds I had no idea where I was. I felt a sense of dread, as if I were being watched from the sable darkness around me. I breathed deeply, ridding my throat of deep panic. I stood up and walked to the windows, looked out. It was after 1 o'clock. I dressed, putting on the shoulder holster over my shirt, and went into the hall. The door to Owen's room was open, but he wasn't inside. I went upstairs. There were no lights on, but moonlight thinned the darkness. At Macy's room I tapped softly on the door. There was no answer. I listened closely, heard him breathing in sleep. At the end of the hall a door was open, and I saw Mrs. Rink inside, standing in front of a window looking toward the sea. She had been in bed. The other bed hadn't been touched. Apparently Rink was still working. As I turned to walk away, my shoe bumped the doorframe. It was a small noise, but Evelyn Rink turned, a hand at her throat, a flat cry on her lips. I stepped inside the bedroom so she could identify me. She was wearing the same nightgown she had had on the night before.
"Pete?"
"Yes?"
"You startled me."
I saw the movement of her throat muscles. "I was just looking around," I said. "I'm sorry."
"Don't go," she said quickly. "Please don't go, Pete."
"Maybe it would be better if I did."
"No, I wanted somebody to talk to. I can't sleep. It's useless trying to sleep. Please, Pete, a cigarette?"
I took a pack from my shirt pocket, shook one free for her. I lit it for her.
"Thanks, Pete."
She turned toward the windows again, her cheeks flattening as she drew on the cigarette. There were tired lines under her eyes.
"I've lived through another day," she said with a tone of wonder. "Now I have to face another. Tell me, Pete, was it that way with you? Did you hate to see another day coming?"
"Usually." My voice was rough with a sympathy I couldn't conceal.
"I slept this morning," she said. 2 whole hours. That's really a triumph, you know. The rest of the day I sat and let my nerves fight it out. I wondered what it would be like to kill myself. I wondered if I would feel any regret in that last 10th part of a second.
"How long has this been going on?"
"About 4 years. It didn't come all at once. It was like a slow tightening. Days when I didn't feel quite right. Then one day it seemed as if I was hit by a big fist. Some of the nerves came loose. There's one now, twisting down my side until I think I'll go crazy."
She put a hand to her side, her face lined as if she were going to cry. She stretched out her arms, fingers against the metal slats of the Venetian blinds. Her breasts heaved fretfully beneath their frail covering.
"I've thought about it, Pete," she said. "I've had little to do but think about why I should be like this."
The cigarette wasn't doing anything for her anymore. She turned from the windows to put it in an ashtray, then came back.
"Charlie loved me," she said softly. "Once. Charlie had a brilliant mind. He still does. But there's something inside him, something obscene. He takes pleasure in knowing the wrong kinds of men, sharing their secrets. We drifted into this kind of life. He stuck fast to it, gave up a good-paying job. It's too late for him to go back now. All the good is gone now. I smell the evil that seeps through his skin from associating with people like Macy Barr. There isn't any way for me to get away. I think he'd kill me if I tried now. Devotion turned to possession, tenderness to lust. It was when I began to realize this that the fist began to pound me."
"I'm sorry," I said inadequately.
"Pete,"
she said with a dry sob,
"I can't even cry anymore. I'm just a crazy cardboard cutout of a woman. I loathe the man I can't get away from. The people who live around me sicken my stomach. My nerves torture me, all the time."
Her mouth was petulant. She put her hands flat against her stomach, smoothed the nightgown close to her skin, pressed the hands as far as her rounded thighs.
"I haven't slept with him in months and months. The thought of him touching me makes me retch."
She was whispering now.
I've tried others. They handled me as though I were a common streetwalker. It was no good. No good at all.
She reached out and took my hand, laid it against her side.
Can't you feel it? It twists and turns and jumps. They're knots and coils, tight and squirming.
She let go of my hand. She took the nightgown in both hands, twisted it, tore it, an expression of anguish on her glistening face. The gown was ripped. It hung away from her slim body. She fell against me, kissing me anywhere her lips touched my flesh. Her cheeks were hot and wet.
"Make them still," she said urgently. "Give me rest, Pete. You can do it. Do it. Do it."
I should have forced her away then, but I hesitated an instant. And when the instant had passed, it was too late. She was keyed to the point of hysteria. I was afraid of what might happen if I left her then. "It won't be an answer," I whispered, as I put her on the bed. "For a little while, maybe. That's all." Then I couldn't say any more. She moaned once and held me tightly, tightly with all her strength. When I left her, she was sleeping. Even in sleep, the tenseness hadn't left her features. I wished I could help her, but there was nothing I could do. It was a lonely struggle. She would be the only winner, or the only loser. I went downstairs and walked toward my room. Beyond the French doors, I saw a man standing on the patio. From the size of him, I knew it must be Taggart. He stood there without moving for half a minute, smoking slowly. Then he dropped the cigarette, walked down the terrace toward the bay. I opened the doors and stepped outside. Taggart had reached the sand. I could see him against the sheen of moonlight on the water. He walked along at the edge of the tide, his head turned toward the bay as if he were searching for something. He carried a large towel over one arm. When he passed from sight around a bend in the island, I walked away from the house toward a growth of trees that covered the northern tip of the island. Most of the tangle of scrub had been cleared from among the palms, and hardy grass matted the rocky ridge of land almost to the slap of the waves. Through the bent, shadowy trunks with their saw-toothed thatching, I picked up Taggart again. This time he wasn't alone. In a sheltered cove, he extended the towel to a naked, dripping Diane. Her hair was silver in the moonlight, the lift of her arm liquid. Taggart didn't take his eyes off her as she dried herself, turning to cape the towel across her back, lifting one foot and then the other to the grasp of it. When she had finished, she spread the towel on the wind-decked sand, laid down on it. Taggart turned his head to follow her movements as she laid down on the towel. His hands came up unhurriedly, and he unbuttoned his shirt, took it off, folded it, and put it beside the towel. Then he unbuckled his pants, stepped out of them. When he had finished undressing, he lowered himself to her. I was about to trudge back to the house when I noticed a movement behind one of the trees not more than 10 yards from where Taggart and the blonde Diane embraced. It was a man, shifting his weight very slowly to obtain a better view, taking care not to be heard. I put a hand on the square butt of the .38, then relaxed. The observer had turned his body just enough for me to recognize him. It was Owen Barr. I strained my eyes toward the tree behind which he had concealed himself, but I couldn't see him any more. I was a little surprised at the eagerness with which Diane was receiving the huge, slow-witted gunman. I had a feeling this was only a repetition of other meetings between them. Then I grinned a bit wryly, realizing it didn't make much difference, and went back to my room. Once there, I felt I could use a drink and walked to the living room, helped myself to a bottle of good scotch from the bar there. I took that and a glass of ice with 4 fingers of soda back to the bedroom, propped myself up on the bed, and had a long cold one in the dark. I thought about the strange crew assembled in this house. They made my head hurt. Sleep poured down on me like an avalanche. Before I was buried in it, there was a warm, clear light shining through the murkiness of twisted, pulped lives. Elaine. I reached out to her, forgetting all the rest. I don't know how long I slept. When I awakened, I stared into darkness as if I hadn't been sleeping at all, just dozing. I listened to a rat-like scratching, located the source of the sound near the dresser. I thought I heard someone breathing. Without moving on the bed, I took my .38 from the nearby table, transferred it to my left hand. I reached up and found the light switch, turned on the lamp. Owen Barr lurched away from the dresser, turned to me with a foolish grin. He took his hand out of the top drawer but kept it pressed against the front of the dresser for support. "Well," he said, his lips loose, his eyes feverishly jovial. "Am I in the wrong room, huh?" "It would seem that way." I kept the automatic pointed at him. He gestured stickily with his free hand, listed unsteadily. I wondered if he was as drunk as he was trying to make out. "Well, excuse me," Owen said, sniffing wetly. He took a step forward, but had to return to his support. "You see, I was looking for some whiskey. I thought this was my room, or something." "Sure," he pointed. You got some whiskey over there?" "Don't you think you've had enough?" He blinked, then he leered knowingly. "Never have enough whiskey." I put my fingers around the bottle without looking away from him, and heaved it suddenly in his direction. He caught it with surprising deftness. "Well," he said, licking his lips. "Well, thanks. Suppose you could drink it someplace else." "Oh, sure," he said airily. He put both hands around the bottle and set a course for the door, pausing once to lean against the wall. Then he was gone, and I heard him mumbling in the hall. The door to his room clicked shut. I got up and looked into the hall. He was gone, all right. I shut my door and looked at the drawer Owen had been fumbling through. There was nothing in it but the large envelope containing the newspaper clippings Macy had turned over to me. The envelope had been opened. A couple of the clippings were loose in the bottom of the drawer. I assembled all of them, counted. There were only 3 stories about the fire left. I wondered what Owen was going to do with the other one. But I didn't really care. End of chapter 18.